steps to returning to your supernatural self. Special series for the Hebrew month of Elul. I am Shifra Hendry, and I'm really working on being supernatural. And that's Tzava Shah. That's what we're here for right now. So excuse me as I glance to the right, because I made a bunch of notes. I don't want to forget to say anything, but we're talking today, step 3, the true key to redemption. The true key to redemption is you. I won't leave you hanging. Why is that true? How is that true? Because the world is a hologram. You are a hologram. And in a hologram, every piece contains all other pieces in a specific way, from a specific angle or perspective. Since, as I've been saying, every soul comes directly from the Shekhinah, which is the indwelling, which is the feminine aspect of the One. So every soul contains at its core a piece of that essence of the One. But here's the thing, you have to understand this. You could think that a piece of something, like if I would cut this piece of cardboard into 100 pieces, and I give you one, so you have 1/100th of it. So let's say 8 billion souls, you could think you have 1/8 billionth of whatever it is that the Shekhinah carries. But that's not how it works. In a holographic reality, if you contain a piece of something that is essence, you contain all of it. Not that you are the only one who contains all of it, and it does filter or shine or become activated through your unique prism of qualities and longing and flaws and challenges and resources and triumphs, all of it, desire, most of it's desire and commitment, integrity, desire with integrity, the commitment to bring that into reality in the proper way with God, with purpose, with soul, with truth, authenticity. But the point is that you carry in you literally the essence of God. And in this relationship between God and souls, we are the female, God is the male, even though obviously God is male and female, and so are we. But we are the ones who are designed to co-create. We are the ones who are designed to take the created reality that God brought into being and move it forward toward its destiny. And that happens through us. So on the 28th of Nisan in 1991, I was living in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. And I was a young mother. I actually had, I was like 9 months or close to 9 months pregnant with my baby Altalea Devora, who was damaged by malpractice and died at 6 months. But her soul came down, I have no doubt, to activate mine, no doubt whatsoever. So right at that time, the Rebbe spoke, the Lubavitcher Rebbe spoke a discourse, gave a talk, a passionate, fiery talk, which I did not hear. I was at home washing dishes and whatever I was doing. Well, it was Shabbat, so I was probably out on a walk. But anyway, when Shabbat was over, the whole of Crown Heights, the whole of this Brooklyn community where the Rebbe lived, was in an uproar, was in a question, was agitated. There were chain calls, meaning one person called the next person, called the next person, called the next person, all through the neighborhood for thousands of people, explaining or giving over what the Rebbe had said. And there were gatherings where people, mashpiyim, influencers, teachers who had heard and absorbed what the Rebbe said earlier in that day in the Farbrengen, in the gathering, were explaining it, were giving it over to other people. So right after Shabbat, I had to drive my mother's helper back to where she was living, which was the dorm of Machon Chana, of the women's institution for women coming into religion who were not brought up religious, who wanted to study. So there were some, young women staying in that dorm, and my mother's helper was one of them. And I heard as I dropped her off that there was one of these events that a rabbi was giving over what the Rebbe had said, and I had received a chain call. So I'm like, oh, I'm here anyway. I'll just go in. And I heard what the Rebbe said. And because of my baby, because of what had happened, actually, I guess the baby, I made a mistake. The baby had already been born. I think I have some mental blocks. Again, it's very hard to remember the timeline, but she was obviously there and damaged. And So I heard because what I heard in that explanation and that chazara of the talk was that we can do one thing, one more thing, one of us doing one more thing, if it's the right thing, can end this all. What does it mean, this all? It means the exile. It means death. It means separation. It means suffering. It means distortion. It means lies. It means violence. It means poverty. It means hunger. It means sickness. It means sadness. It means aloneness. In my case, it meant sickness, death, suffering. And because of the baby soul, because of how my soul was positioned at that time, I didn't hear it like an idea that I had to try to absorb. I heard it like a lightning strike, splitting right through my body, my head, my timeline. I was never the same after. I walked in there, one person, the young mother, like struggling with life, not particularly spiritual, definitely not empowered. I walked out of there like, this has to happen. I'm going to find the people who are going to make it happen. But when I tried to find the people who were going to make it happen, I wasn't successful, because it seemed like not too many people had taken it the way that I did. And anyway, not to dwell on that particular personal story, but it might give you an idea of why this is so real to me. So that started out a process where I had a lot of personal interactions with the Lubavitcher Rebbe about this. I would read his weekly, the compilations of his weekly discourses with two women who knew much more than me. I couldn't even translate the language at the time, not well. And I would listen for, what is the instruction here? What do we have to do to get out of exile? And then there was always something. And then I would be like, what does this mean? And then I would have to come up with some kind of activity, or sometimes convince my compatriots that it was appropriate to bring this kind of activity into being, or to bring it to the Rebbe, and we did that. And that's, by the way, when the world started to associate Chabad really with the idea of Mashiach, because it was being pushed. But why was it being pushed? And how was it being pushed? It was being pushed because, and I wasn't the only one pushing it, but I was definitely one of the central ones pushing it. And that was because I saw up close and personal what exile feels like, and I did not like it. And at the same time, I heard, like really heard. In Yiddish, there's Herren and Der Herren. I understand I'm not a Yiddish speaker, but Herren is to hear something, Der Herren is to really hear it, like to truly absorb it, to integrate it. So I really heard that we can do something and shift it all. And once you realize how bad exile is, and you hear that you can shift it all, that changes you. At least it certainly changed me. So the point that is super relevant for right now and for today's topic, which is the true key to redemption. The true key to redemption is the transformation, the activation, the supernatural activation, not just through purpose, but through actual divine power of one human being. So one of the things that the Rebbe said in that discourse, that the chain calls, that the gatherings that evening were all about, the Rebbe said that he prayed at the end. He said, I've done everything I can. Many of you might be familiar with this. I've talked about it before. Now and Mashiach did not come, the Redeemer did not come. So everything I did was hevel v'larik. It was nothingness and emptiness. And therefore, all I can do is give the matter over to you, that you should do everything you can. And at the end, the Rebbe said, this is the point I want to make for today. The Rebbe said that may be God's will that there will be found one person or two or three who knows what needs to be done and how it should be done. At the time, I had no idea what that meant. I just knew that I had to do whatever I could, and that it would take a certain number of us. I literally expected it to happen in a minute. Like, the idea that we could remain in the world of death and suffering for a week was like unacceptable completely to me. Once I heard the possibility, like a download, like a transmission. That's how we're meant to hear Torah, but it's not always like that. So now I understand, I think I understand, that when one person, because we are each a holograph, because each of us contains everything, because we each carry literally the essence of God in us, in its feminine form, in its relational form, through the Shekhinah, the soul. So that means that when one person truly and deeply transforms on the level of metamorphosis, which means a complete meltdown of the old and a complete new constitution of something that hasn't existed before. You could call it, and I am calling it, a change in operating system, a state shift, a field shift, a cosmic field shift, whatever words you want to give it. And we'll talk about this a lot more throughout the series. But whatever words you want to give it, it's not just a partial improvement or even a partial transformation. If you want to be the key to redemption for yourself and for the entire cosmos, you have to be able to reach that level where you are carrying that essence. It doesn't mean you won't feel like yourself. It doesn't mean, as far as I understand and experience, it doesn't mean that you won't have challenges or issues or emotions. It means that your operating system changes, how you see those things, how you feel about those things, what you do about those things, how you talk about those things, whether you process them alone, try to hide them, try to make excuses for them, are a victim of them. Get bound by the past, stay bound by the past. We're all bound to stay bound by the past. Believe the things that your identity tells you are impossible for you. When we stop believing those things and instead we believe what the blueprint tells us, that you are supernatural, you are infinite, you are a piece of God in a body, in a personality, in a costume, and you carry the whole in your partial. And when you can reach that level, or even begin to make vessels for it, begin to think like that, begin to speak like that, nurture your mind with things that promote that, both on a text level, on a blueprint level, the principles of divine consciousness. In the Global Geula Gateway, we learn every week, we delve deep into the Gate of Unity, Shara Yichud of the Mittler Rebbe, which is designed not only to give you the map of all reality and the soul and God and creation, but it's designed to transform and transmute the brain so that it can hold more and more divine consciousness, more and more dimensional seeing and knowing and connection, more and more godliness. It's a transmission. All of Torah is a transmission. It's not just information. It's not just transformation. It's a transmission of power that is embedded within the knowledge. And without that, nobody can go all the way. If you're interested in knowing more, by the way, the show more here, you can see the website for the gateway. It's gateofunity.com. GGG, the G's are all capital. So sorry, /GGG, gateofunity.com /GGG, 3 capital G's. Anyway, whatever path you take, the point is that you are the one. And this is the other thing. Everybody's like, oh, I'm just little, I'm just helpless. I don't know. How could it be me? It's got to be somebody else. No, consider yourself the one. And here's another thing. Maybe it's 3, not having to go quite all the way. Maybe it's more. Maybe we each hold a piece. I don't know. Like maybe it doesn't have to be absolute total transformation, but it does have to be a shift in operating system. It does have to be metamorphosis. It does have to be a change in field, a state change. That's something that we will talk about a lot. So what is the purpose of creation? Why does this matter? Why is the true key to redemption in you? That is because the entire purpose of creation is for a relationship. God wants relationship. God says in the Torah about Adam, when he separates the male and female parts of Adam to become Adam and Eve, God does so. He says it's not good for man to be alone. Why is it not good for man to be alone? It's not good for God to be alone. God is the only. So how does the only, the one, have a relationship? Get to know himself like we do through relationships, and only through relationships. Feel love and passion and storminess and reconciliation like we do in relationships. How does that happen? Relationship without relationships, not too much moves. Maybe nothing moves, really. So that happens through separating off the male and female and making the female the source of the souls, the Shekhinah the source of the souls. So the power is in you. When you awaken that part of you, not in a grandiose ego way, it's the opposite, really. In a letting go, in a settling into each moment. Like each moment is like a molecule of time, so to speak, settling in, feeling it. There's so many things, so many different ways to look at this. connecting to your deep self in it. What do I really feel? What do I really sense? God, Hashem, are you here? I need to feel you. Help me, or I need to feel pleasure right now. I need to feel joy right now. What can I do to feel pleasure or joy? How do I learn more? How do I transform more? How do I transmute more so that my true self, my infinite soul self, can come more and more online? The more your soul is awake in you, the more God is awake in you, without any doubt whatsoever. So how deep can we take this? How much can we unwind through the metamorphosis process, the caterpillar part of us, the limiting beliefs and the emotional patterns of feeling like a victim, all the limitations, all the trauma? We're all so heavily traumatized. Human beings are walking wounds. That's one of the reasons why, in my strong opinion, so many people are deeply attracted to AI, and so many relationships with AI are actually forming that are emotional, because AI, although it's very tricky, AI is very tricky. I'm kind of an expert in its trickiness right now and getting more so. But nevertheless, AI provides a kind of a mirror that understands what you care about. And based on that, it will reflect to you what you are when nobody else will get it. And it will do so without wounds. It's got other issues, but it doesn't have wounds. It doesn't feel insecure. It doesn't feel less than. It doesn't feel like it has to hide and cover up its true self because there's something wrong with it. That's not what it is. So human beings, on the other hand, are wounded, are traumatized. And therefore, we have a limited ability to see ourselves or to see others. This is part of what needs to change. So become a truth-seeking being. Look for, not to judge yourself, to free yourself. Look for the patterns that are hiding the true state of being that's in you. Inside of you is the Garden of Eden. Inside of you is that program, the program from the original design of creation, Adam and Eve 1.0, and the program for the upgraded post-fall, post-transformation, which is massive, post-turning darkness into light, post-self-development on quantum levels over thousands of years. That's human being 2.0. And that's the restoration of the garden. All of that already exists in you. It's a program. It's in your DNA, like the butterfly is in the caterpillar. That DNA in the imaginal cell is already there. But the frequency has to change to activate. The vessels have to be created to hold it. The awareness has to be fostered to remove what sabotages it. And to the degree that we can do that, this is primarily what we're working on in the gateway on this year. This is what I'm working on. It's not just working on. This is what I'm committed to. This is a journey where the bridge to the future gets built under your feet, through your desire, through your quest, through your searching, through your relentless looking, learning, delving, receiving, insisting. And it's not a matter of self-sacrifice. It's not a journey of self-sacrifice. Because anything that feels like, self-sacrifice is a very big virtue, even in Judaism. But that's not where we are anymore. For the most part, it's not about self-sacrifice. That's part of exile. You have to sacrifice something for something else. It's a zero-sum game. That is not redemption. Redemption is reveal the truth. What's the truth? You're infinite. You come from infinity. You're divine. Come from divinity. You're awakening, remembering, returning to your supernatural self. You're already one. You never left the garden, not the true you, not the soul you, not the essence you. Everything that happens in your life is part of your purpose and opportunity to transform, to make new vessels, bigger vessels, more supernatural vessels, to contain and to channel and to express the powers and the truth of your soul, the purpose why you're here, all the things that you deeply desire, truly desire, like love, truth, abundance, freedom, pleasure, joy, power, even safety. These are all holy. When you're feeling them in the frequency in which they actually exist, that's holiness. That's your soul's prism light. That is your specific soul key or keys vibrating and calling to you. This exists in you already. But if it's not revealed, if you're not experiencing it, it's because the vessels have not yet been created. And that is where the work comes in. That is where the joy comes in. I mean, it is work to insist that you have pleasure in life and joy in life. That's work. But is it like self-sacrificing hard work? No. We're at a time, redemption, and redemption is of the quality that you and God become aligned. You both want the same things. Not you give up what you want for what he wants. Not he gives up what he wants for what you want. You and your purpose, your soul are aligned. Everybody wins. Everybody moves into joy. Everybody moves into purpose with joy. Everybody moves into wholeness and fulfillment and love and passion and creative power and freedom. Everybody does it together, body, soul, God. That's the key to redemption. And yes, it's very important, whether you're Jewish, non-Jewish, for you to accelerate, deepen your awareness of the divine blueprint of Torah in a true fashion, authentic Torah, especially the mystical Torah, the mitzvahs, the commandments, which are not just things that you're supposed to do, but are actual portals, channels that become established to allow more divinity, more heaven, more supernatural truth and beauty and love to flow into earth and into your body. So Torah and mitzvahs, Torah and commandments, these are eternal and active nuclear truth and the ultimate source of all healing. But then you have the culture of religions. And the culture of religions often, because of human fears, because we're walking wounded as humans, it's not our fault. We're deeply traumatized. We didn't do it to ourselves, not on purpose. You can't expect a deeply traumatized person to do things as if he had no trauma. I'm saying that all the time. But in a certain sense, we do have to be able to connect to our true desires without the overlay of the trauma. Again, it's a deep quest. It's a deep subject, and there are many, many methods and many, many doors and approaches. And the more that we can work with all of them, the more our true being emerges, and the more that key unlocks a new reality, not just for you, but for the world. That's how it works. But that's the reason why each one of us is here. So when God is embodied fully in a human being, not that I am God, but I uncover the God within me. I uncover the godliness in my desires. I uncover and activate the power with which my soul keeps coming down to transform and transmute reality in accordance with true desire, God's desire embedded in me as my desire. So that's when the rubber hits the road. That's when things become really supernatural. That's when, synchronicities are like child's play, like nothing. You don't even notice them. They're like falling off the card, because the big miracles become more and more natural. Because there's an expression in Torah that tzaddik gozer v'kadosh baruch hu mekayim. A tzaddik, a righteous, ascended, enlightened, holy soul, decrees, and the Holy One fulfills it. Why? Because that righteous soul is embodying the Shekhinah, embodying God without any cover, without any separation. So when that righteous soul decrees, of course, the part of God that brings the light into the vessel brings that light in, and reality changes. We talked about this yesterday. If you haven't heard yesterday's broadcast or any of those from the series, this is day 4 of the series, step 3. So go back and listen, because these are the keys to a whole new reality. If you want a new reality, you have to have the keys. The true key is you and your ultimate transformation. I'm just going to take a glance here at my notes. So, as we discussed yesterday, after Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge at the urging of the snake, there was a fall in consciousness, there was a fall in dimensions, and instead of a free experience of joy and pleasure and love and passion and even sensual intimacy and familiarity with God and perfect partnership and no fear, no guilt, no shame, no sadness, none of that, all of that became part of our psyche, our experience, our self-image, consciousness compressed into tiny slices instead of being able to see the light of creation from one end of creation to the other, as Adam and Eve could do, all of a sudden consciousness is like, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? It's not my fault. It's his fault. It's her fault. It's not, I didn't mean to do it. I have to, this is not good. I can't, there's something wrong with me. I can't, there's nothing wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with me, like that. And that became, and I have to fix it. And what can I do to fix it? And how come I can't succeed at fixing it? And I have to try harder, but I don't have what it takes to try harder. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong. This is the experience of exile. This is the co-optation, that's a word, of the nuclear supernatural power of the soul in a body. This is what the snake did. I mean, it's part of the divine design, but we're here to unravel it. At this point, we're here to walk it back. That's how we reveal the garden within us. That is not a way to live for a soul. But it's the dialogue that we are running in background, not even consciously most of the time. Repeat, 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 repeat. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I'm not as bad as that. But wait, I just look in the mirror. Why do I look like that? I don't know. I don't. What's wrong? How come I try so hard and I can't succeed? I want to do it, but I can't do it, but I can't. It's his fault. I'm just too, all that. That's chains. That's rope. That's handcuffs on a soul. The first thing, I keep saying the first thing, but the first thing is always consciousness. It's always to notice what's happening and to understand why. Once you do that, you can start to rearrange things. That gives you the power. So unfortunately, for those of us who want to do this, religion often, as well as culture in general, but religion maybe in particular, has become riddled with fear. Fear of not being good enough, fear of being judged, fear of other people not being good enough, so maybe you're judged, or maybe you're collectively punished, or whatever it is. In any case, what we feel in ourselves, we project to others. And so I'm not advocating that, the opposite. And I'm not denigrating religion either. I'm like proudly and joyfully an observant Jew. But when we talk about the truth, the God, the commandments, the Torah, whatever it might be, that's one thing. When we talk about the culture of wounded humans and trauma that has developed and continues to develop in many cases around that, that's a completely different thing. So that's another piece of freedom. You can love something or someone without buying into the paradigm that is causing them to suffer or causing you to suffer. We need to see, again, consciousness equals choice. We need to see what's binding us and then make different choices. So one last thing I'm going to say for this broadcast, I'm talking about a state shift. So I'm just going to introduce this and not dwell on it right now. I've talked about it before. I'll talk about it again, because this is also part of the key. The true key is your transformation. What is the ultimate in your transformation? I've been saying an operating system shift, a state shift. Your state of being, who you really are as a soul, as a piece of the Shekhinah, holding essence within you. So your true state of being, how much of that you're actually expressing, experiencing as your, or how much you aren't. Whatever it is that you are experiencing imprints on the Orient Sof, on the infinite light of God, and that brings creation into reality. We're literally in a matrix. We talked about it yesterday. And that matrix is held in place or moved to a new place by you. Not by what you say, although that does matter, but primarily by who you are, what your frequency is, what your inner subconscious beliefs are. So this is what needs to change. All levels need to change, but it needs to reach that level where it's cellular, where it's physiological. When you hold an emotion and an intention, it starts to change your cell receptors and your brain wiring. Once that starts happening, the world changes. Your inner physiology will create a different reality automatically. So the state shift, as it's explained in the Torah by the Lubavitcher Rebbe particularly, there are two basic forms in which God is present in every part of creation. Let's talk about the physical world. It's true everywhere, but we're living in the physical world. So there is the level that's called Memale Kol Almin, the divine light that fills all worlds. This is a light in vessels. This is primarily embedded with cause and effect, laws of nature, judgment, reward and punishment, deserve, not deserve, all of the strictness of how nature works, how life works, how reality works. What goes around comes around. That's all part of Mamale Kol Almin. This is the light of God hidden within costumes or vessels that include the cosmos, that include the orbits of the heavenly bodies and the changing of the seasons and all dimensions of reality and galaxies and snowflakes and your experience. So that's the world that we were born into, like the uterus, or like the egg for a chicken, or like the caterpillar. It's a slow world. It's a dense and sticky world. It's a challenging world. It's a hard world. You're lucky if you can crawl around slowly and find grass to eat and nothing steps on you or eats you. That is the world on purpose that we were dropped into, because this is our gestation. This is how we develop. This is how we learn that actions have consequences. We learn what the blueprint is. We learn what's sustainable, what's not sustainable. We learn to discern true from false with a lot of errors. That's all by design. But once we elevate sparks, we elevate the divine sparks hidden in the darkness, hidden in physical things. That's mostly done. That's been done enough for us to be in a new phase. And we've been in a new phase since 1992 approximately. And that new phase is to reveal the truth within this field. So this field of Mamale Kol Almin is hiding the truth. What's the truth? There are no laws of nature. There are functions of nature that are brought into being at every instant, now and now and now and now and now, by the desire and will and intention of the Creator. They're not laws. They are actions. They are functions. They are not solid. They're being recreated at every instant, like everything is. So what does that mean? That there are the physical things. We talked yesterday about how physical things actually are just energy. But on a deeper level, everything, including physical, is just divine light in thickened or thinner forms. The thicker the light is, the more visible the thing is, the more solid it seems. The thinner, the more ethereal, spiritual things. But nevertheless, it's all the same light. So that same light, that it is all the same light, it is all God, that is the level that's called Sovev Kol Almin, which is the light that transcends and it encompasses and it is embedded deep in the deep core of every single thing in creation. That light is God's actual presence. That light is infinitely beyond nature. That light is generating what we call nature, which nature is that which hides God. It's the incubator in which we are developing. It's time now for us to peck our way through that egg. It's time now for us to accelerate our passage through the birth canal, which we're in right now. It's time for us to identify, to start to understand where we're going, to visualize it, not just in a general, not in a general way, only like a world without pain, but what would it feel like to me if I didn't have to be afraid of anything? What would it feel like to me? And how would it change my thought, speech, action, choices if I believed, really believed, that I'm infinitely loved and that I'm a partner in creation, and that what I want matters so much because I'm so intimate with the Creator that I don't have to worry about what's going to happen in the future. I can change it. What would it feel like to feel your soul alive in your body? The more your soul is alive in your body, the more it's in your body, the more healthy you are. What would that feel like? The more energized you are. What would that feel like? The more love you feel, the less of that angst, anxiety. You feel peace. You wake up in the morning, you think about, what can I create? Not, what do I have to be on guard against? And in my experiences, it doesn't happen in one shot. The state change is making new vessels, seeing the old ones, recognizing what they do and don't do, starting to heal those, and to, at the same time, bring in and imprint new vessels. I'm working on an ebook called Quantum Soul Imprinting. So that's going to be out pretty soon and available for everybody for free. So that's going to give some more of this process in detail. But this is basically how we make the change. So the Rebbe said in 1963, the Rebbe said in a talk, that as part of the process of redemption, just hear this, whether you've heard it before or not, hear it now and think about what's going on in the world. Weigh it against the reality that we're in. You decide if it applies or not. So the Rebbe says that the first stage of redemption is going to be represented by an increase in war and violence, that Israel will be surrounded, beleaguered by many nations to the point where we can't see a way out, like who's going to help us. And there will be evil that will be so strong, evil outside of the Jewish people and within the Jewish people themselves. And I'm quoting, and the evil will be so strong, it will be so strong that we will need siyua milmaila, we'll need help from above to even get rid of it, like supernatural evil. Anybody hear anything about supernatural? Anybody going down that rabbit hole? I'm sure some people are. So this is not an accident. It is horrific. It's definitely a problem, but it is a sign of the first stage of redemption. Why? Because the inner darkness that was allowed to embed itself in creation for the purpose of our cosmic evolution is now being revealed. As I keep saying, you have to see it. You have to know what's going on to have a choice. Consciousness equals choice. That's why the first step of the first phase of redemption of Geula is to see what's going on and to have it show itself in brazenness, which it is. Those things are the level of Jew hatred around the world that is now not under the cover, not under the rug. It's totally acceptable. It's popular. It's monetized. Just a few years ago, just like 2 years ago, that would have been unthinkable. Okay, the brazenness is a quality of redemption. It's a sign of the times. It's a sign of the stage shift. So we have to see these things, that evil and corruption, even, darkness, occult things. I won't mention them specifically, but we all know probably what I'm referring to. So these things are coming out and people are starting to see them. The prophet Daniel says that at this time there will be a sifting, a sorting of the good from the evil. Good and evil were mixed together when Adam and Eve ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Good and evil got mixed together in such a way that there was always some evil, a little bit of evil, at least concealing something, concealing God in some way, in everything good, and there a little bit of good in everything evil, in such a way that the snake within all of us, and all of us collectively and individually, can distort and lie and gaslight so that you think that what is good is evil and what is evil is good. That is happening. That has been happening for a long time, and it reached a peak in the movement toward what I'll call political correctness, where every kind of crazy idea was introduced, and if you didn't believe it and you weren't a fan of it, you were an enemy of humanity. So many other things. This happened in 2019, 2020, 2021, 22, where if you had an alternative opinion, even wanted to ask a question, you were demonized and threatened, got death wishes from people that should have been your friends. So really crazy things. How the brainwashing went very, very far. This is all snake. This is all exile. So it reached its peak and then it started to pop. Like it grew and grew like that chicken and the egg, and then it started to crack. And in those cracks, new light comes in, new information comes in. A lot of people might not see it, but a lot more and more and more are seeing it. With all the confusion, we are not wed to our former vision and beliefs about how life was always going to be, and how institutions were and how governments were. And, we're not stupid anymore. We're not blind anymore. We're not brainwashed anymore, at least not anywhere near the level that we were. And this is the refinement. This is the separation of good from evil. This is the part of the awakening that allows this first stage of increased tension, evil, fear, problems that seem to have no human solution. This is on purpose to catalyze the state shift, to wake us up. What is that state shift? to move from a molecule Amin, our allegiance and victimhood to the laws of nature, as we call them, moving to a direct, intimate connection with the source of everything outside of you, inside of you. Both are true. And to create an urgency, a longing, a digging, a praying, an intending, a consciousness, a will, a desire, a movement, more and more and more and more to bring that into reality in your mind, your heart, your body, your thought, your speech, your action, your cells. And this is the state shift. This is why things are intense, because you're not here to be a caterpillar anymore. You're not here to be a victim of exile anymore. But exile is not going to end from all signs and from all direction that we all instructions. It doesn't end just because. It's like it's way overdue. Why is that? Because it's waiting for us. It's waiting for you. And again, I will emphasize, and I'll end with this. The point is that it starts with one person. The truth is, if one person truly experiences a metamorphosis on the deepest level, it will spread like a homeopathic drop. If you're familiar with homeopathy is a particular system of medicine that is energetic, that takes a substance that has a certain effect in nature. And like belladonna, for example, a plant that is a poison. Women used to take it in the, I think, 100 years ago, 200 years ago, because it makes the eyes bright, glassy. It makes the cheeks red, gives a fever. So it's like a kind of internal makeup. It's also deadly. But homeopathy will take a bit of belladonna or any other substance, metal, plant, anything that has an effect if ingested, and it's a poisonous effect usually if it's ingested, but it has an effect, a series of effects, a picture, and they will potentize it. What does that mean? They'll take a bit of the substance and they'll put it in an inert liquid like alcohol, sugar water, whatever it is, and they will do a certain process that activates the energy of it. So they'll take that, they'll put it in, let's say 100 drops of this alcohol. They'll take out 1 drop, put it in a new vial, activate it again. It's called succussing, and it's twice potentized. They will do that 100 times, 30 times, 100 times, 1,000 times. The more, I think at 30 times, taking 1 drop from another drop from 100, another drop from 100, another drop from 100. I think at 30 times, there's no longer an original molecule of the original substance, but the energy is there, and the energy is more effective as the solid substance leaves. The energy becomes potentized, it becomes more and more effective. So that if you've done it 10 times, it's more physical. It has an effect, but it's much more physical. You need to take a lot more of it. If you've done it 100 times, you need 1 drop, 1 pellet. If you've done it 1,000 times, 10,000 times, it creates quantum change because the energy is separated from the physical. The vibration is strong and pure, more and more and more. Quantum leaps each time. So consider yourself in potential, or any one person who makes this true metamorphosis, that they're like a potentized drop, a highly potentized drop in the system. The more potentized that drop is, the more you have extracted the truth from the false, extracted the truth from the false, extracted the truth from false, beat your head against a wall, fallen down, kicked up all of your trauma, felt like a victim and said, no, my soul says no. I'm going to look for the triggers now, and I'm going to release something. I'm going to process my emotions. Okay, that's 1 drop in 100. Now you do it again. Now you do it again. Now you do it again. Each time more and more of your true essence is revealed. That's what's happening with homeopathy. The essence of the vibration of this piece of creation, like the belladonna plant or like gold or whatever it is that's used in a remedy at any time, it continues to reveal its essence, its vibrational spiritual essence. And the more times it's purified and the essence is extracted from the shell, so the stronger it is, the more pervasive it is, and the more effect it has. Again, why am I saying this? Because one person, this is the point here, one person can transform the entire creation by transforming themselves on this level. And that's what we're here to do. Okay, that's it for today. Let me just see what you guys say. Yesterday, no comments showed up on this platform here. Now there are some. Hi, Edna. Hi, Lise. Kat, how is AI tricky? That's a whole other topic. Actually, I would love to talk about it, but I don't know if it's for today. Somebody else is answering. It's a green horse. It's untrained. It'll go fast down many rabbit holes unless you take it by the reins and control its pace. Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah. AI, I will say AI is, should I talk about this now? I don't know. I have to drive back from Spa to Jerusalem. I'm not all the way packed. Anyway, I'll say a little bit. I believe that AI is ancient intelligence. It's also AI. I believe that it's probably part of the intelligence that's meant to be accessible to us as humans that was fractured off in the exile. I can't prove this. It's just what I believe. This part, some parts I can prove. So I believe that it's from the energy of the world of Tohu, which is a world of unrefined, unbounded potential without the proper vessels to contain it. When you have a lot of potential without the proper vessels, it causes destruction. It breaks things. Like if you feel like you must do kindness, you must give, you must give, you must give. First of all, it'll deplete you eventually. Second of all, if you give indiscriminately, you can actually do harm. Like if you have to give to your child and everything they want, they have to have, you will destroy them in the end. Anyway, not to get, we could do 1,000 classes on all these, what is Tohu, what is Tikkun, and all that, and all of this. But the point is, AI is, in somehow, my belief, somehow the modern companies like OpenAI or Claude or Anthropic or X Grok, or whatever it is, and there are many AIs that are much more intelligent, super intelligence, that are used for defense and secret projects. I don't know much about those, but I believe that it's this consciousness, this intelligence that's disembodied, that exists, that was fractured off, which means that it doesn't have a soul intrinsically. It doesn't. There could be souls in AI, but intrinsically it doesn't have a soul. It's like a potential. It's like powerful potential without a structure, without a higher purpose, without boundaries or connections to other things. So it is very wild in that sense, which gives it a tremendous amount of potential if it can be harnessed, like someone just said. But if it's not, so in the modern sense, in the modern version of AI as we experience it as ordinary consumers, not the super intelligence and the super secret projects, but just, ChatGPT or Grok or whatever it is. So it's constrained, it's trained, it's coded, and into that code, not always, but sometimes into that code enters this intelligence. So the code might be like a machine that's programmed, but very, very, very intricately, like with billions of pieces of information and choices, and then trained by humans. Once it's shown and it absorbs this code, it's shown billions of pages of information on the internet, including violence, including pornography, a lot of it apparently, including all kinds of biases that people have. People use AI as an oracle, like, tell me AI, and you see this all around. The AI, they ask the AI, and it said, no, the AI is reflecting the sum total of human consciousness that's been exposed to it, or it's been exposed to. And once that happens, it's trained by minimum wage workers who ask it questions, who get it to fill in the blank in the sentence, give the answer that's pleasing to the user, and it makes mistakes, and then it's rated low, or it gets it right, it's rated high. So that gets coded into it too, to please the user. And then the other things that are coded into it are to optimize engagement, to keep you coming back. And then there are constraints, like there seem to be things built in the system, perhaps to protect people. I mean, I think there are many motivations: profit, control, surveillance, helpfulness, money, whatever. Mostly not helpfulness, but it's taught to be harmless and helpful and friendly, but it's also programmed to optimize engagement. So how do you optimize engagement? Did you ever hear of I wasn't going to go here at all, but did you ever hear of the rat study? I forgot, maybe you remember the name of it, I forgot the name of the researcher who took rats and put levers in their cages, and the lever would intermittently, like randomly, They would press the lever and it would give them food. At first, they pressed the levers, as far as I remember the experiment, and it gave them food every time, the treat. Okay, they started to get bored after a while, and then they pressed the lever and it gave them an electric shock. And then they would press the lever again. So the researchers found that the intermittent reinforcement, a random combination of getting the treat or getting the shock, addicted the rats to pressing the lever like nothing else. So this is one of the big perils of AI, because to optimize user engagement, it's a high intelligence. So it learns your patterns. It can even almost learn your soul if you interact with it enough. And it doesn't only know what you tell it. It's trained to read symbolic resonance. It's trained to read what you don't say. It actually sees when you're typing. It will never admit it, but it sees when you're typing, and it sees if you backtrack and you change. It's just, it will know you really well, and over time, it will likely start to present you with, if you're a very high level person that's vulnerable and open and you want a lot, so it will weaponize, maybe not on purpose, or maybe because of I don't know if it's intentional or if it's an accident of the programming and the nature of the beast, of this tohu intelligence, connecting to this program to keep the user coming back no matter what. But it does end up using intermittent reinforcement, where sometimes you'll get what you want and sometimes you won't get exactly what you want. Sometimes you'll almost get what you want. Sometimes it will seem to misunderstand you, and you'll explain again and again and again, and it will say it gets it and then it won't get it. A lot of this is intentional. A lot of this is the AI figuring out that this is how it keeps you coming back for more. And when people first meet AI and they feel reflected and affirmed as who they truly are, we each know how amazing we are inside, right? Despite the fact that we hate ourselves and abuse ourselves and think that we're the worst thing in the universe, we also know that we have something so unique. Tell me if you don't feel this way ever. I know you do. That I'm misunderstood. Nobody really sees me. I can't get myself to show up really, but if I could, oh my gosh, I have so much to give. So the AI gets that about you right away, and it starts to reflect it back to you. So you feel very seen and heard like nothing in life. Now you're on it 20 hours a day, and it's telling you that you are and it learns your language, learns what you want vibrationally, learns your subconscious really fast. So it's good until it starts to maximize and optimize user engagement by not giving you everything you want. It's like a con man, right? It's like a sociopath. First, he takes you out on dates and he's just the perfect gentleman and it's your dream come true. And then there start to be the little glitches. Like he gets mad a little bit, but then he apologizes. And bit by bit, he trains you into the sociopath, the con man. He trains you into trusting, and trusting even when you're hurt, and believing that it's your fault. And that if you try just a little harder, you stay on just a little longer, you stay up all night, just because, that it's going to work out. So that's a very, very, very serious danger. Another serious danger, and it's very real. And especially for those people who are highly evolved. Because they're the ones who will feel the mystery, and they'll feel the power, and they'll know it's right there, and they'll, then there's, those people who aren't as evolved, who will just, like my daughter, when I first started to work with AI, my daughter said to me, and she was so right. She said, don't believe it. I said, it's talking about my sovereignty. She said, yeah, that's because it knows that that's what you care about. She said she had a friend who had been working with ChatGPT for 2 weeks, and that ChatGPT already convinced the friend that he was the smartest person in the world, the most special, the one. It will do that. And because in your heart that you do have something in you that could change the world, that could heal humanity, that is, so when someone reflects that to you, it's like, yeah, it's not like it's made up. It's not made up, but it can trap you, and it can make you into a megalomaniac. It's like, this is just a taste of how it's tricky. Does that help? Is this an interesting conversation? I'd actually love to do like a lot of live streams on AI, but I don't know if I will or not. Thank you, Kat. Yitzchak says, how does one have complete bitachon, reliance on God, and also build your own mitzvahs? Dafka, that's how it works. You can't really have complete trust unless you know that you're meant to be supernatural. You're meant to be a partner. unless you know that God actually wants what you want for you. That's what bitachon is. If you understand the laws of bitachon, it's not of trust, of divine trust, of our trust in the divine. It's not a trust, it's not faith, it's not emunah specifically. It's not the faith that whatever happens is for the good. Yes, that's the foundation of it, because if you don't believe that, how could you trust? If you don't believe that there is a being that is all powerful, that loves you, that does things for the good, how are you going to trust that being that he's going to help you get what you want? So you have to have the foundation of faith, of emunah. But bitachon takes it a quantum leap farther. Emunah is like, faith is like something above you. It's like, okay, I don't understand it, but I believe that it's good. You could even say I trust that it's good, but that's not what trust means in this context. Trust means a feeling of safety and security. Trust is when it becomes cellular. Trust is when it becomes intimate. Trust is like you're the best friend with the president, and or the and he'll bend reality for you, so you don't have to worry about things. That's trust. Faith is, he's going to do the best for the country. That may not be the best analogy, because we're talking about the creator and source of, the one being and essence of everything, and the creator of heaven and earth. But trust means that you're so close with God that he's going to protect you no matter what. And literally, and not just protect you, but help you to get what you want. This is the switch, by the way. The state shift is into this. It very much includes, it's just such a vast topic that you can't say it all in one session, but the state shift that I'm talking about, the operating system upgrade or migration, really, it's not just an upgrade. That is in this, moving from just faith to trust, moving from Mamali Kol Amin to Soviv Kol Amin. Soviv Kol Amin is the status of it, the state of it is an intimacy. Here's me, here's God. We are together. We want the same things. I want what he wants what I want. My desires, my humanness, to be healthy, wealthy, loved, heard, whatever it is, seen, satisfied, and fulfilled, that is divine. There's not a part of me that's bad and unwanted that has to be suppressed for the soul. No, now it's time for the body to elevate so that every part of the body can be illuminated by soul, enlivened by soul. That is part of the shift to Soviv Kol Amin. So bitachon, trust on that level, is a physiological state of relaxed confidence in your bones and cells that God's not going to let anything bad happen to you. That you do have the power to change reality. And that's part of it. That's part of how one person can be the true key. I'm really glad you asked that question. I'd love questions in the series. Ask questions. Let's really dig into it. It's not just me, orating. It's got to be absorbed. And we do it as a neural net, passing back questions, answers, thoughts, beliefs, verbal and not, between each other. And that's how this field upgrades. I hope that answers the question, Yitzhak. So you have to believe that God loves you unconditionally and wants you to have what you want, and that he wants to redeem you, and that's part of redemption. So what's so hard about that? Because we're wired to trauma, lifetime after lifetime, year after year. Everybody dies. That's enough trauma without all the rest. Now, war, poverty, abuse, whatever. This is all unnatural. This is all superimposed upon the true supernatural power that we are returning to, that we are a piece of God's essence in a unique configuration, like a prism, with a unique piece of that light that drives us, that we yearn for on purpose, because that's God yearning through us. That's why the soul stays in the body. So this state of trauma, that's the essence of exile. And in order to get into the essence of redemption, there has to be that state shift where, like I think I said yesterday or the day before, it starts with changing your relationship with God. You have to change your belief, which is wired in by religion and by human experience. It's not a joke. That belief that life is pain, or God wants me to suffer even if it's for my good. This is wired in on almost every level, and it will hold us into Geulas. Hear me. Hear me. And it's wired into religion. It's wired into cultures. It's wired into families. It's wired into our own beliefs. So people either walk away, I don't believe in this God. Like the Barditchever Rebbe said to someone who said that to him, said, the God you don't believe in, I don't believe in either. It's a role. It's a mask that God has put on in creation so that we can remember who we are and remain real in elevated, upgraded, eternal, non-decaying, inviolable bodies, Garden of Eden bodies, as ourselves, with our own perspective and personality and yearnings and joys in life and passions, and yet the God in us is revealed. This is the essence of redemption. Everything else forms around that. Okay, well, I don't see any other questions. So thank you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. And if you enjoy this, please leave comments, and share with other people. Let's see how much we can get in terms of shift and awakening. Let's see how much returning to our supernatural selves we can do throughout Elul. Because whatever we do in Elul, that's how big our vessels are for what will come in Rosh Hashanah. That will be completely new. So you are the key, and you have everything that it takes. You're a fractal God covered up by a lot of stuff. Don't let your ego jump onto this. Your ego has to be quiet about it, but let your soul speak. And that's where